What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the Warframe video. So, today we're talking about a big synergy between the Huras Kubrow and basically a bunch of frames in Warframe. I'm going to be going over a specifically Khora setup today, but yeah, the Huras Kubrow is officially in must-have territory after the Koumei and the Five Fates update. So, if you don't have this one already, put it on your list. We're going to be going over a build and loadout today that can be extremely easy mode on the Steel Path. This is one of those builds, just like the Dante one last week. It's like, this is so easy and kind of boring a little bit. So, yeah, keep that in mind that this will be a very, very powerful build today. And I'm going to also let you know that this is not going to be fully, I'm not going to go super in-depth on every item because I have a lot of Khora videos on the channel already. But I did change the Khora build a little bit, so we'll be talking about that. But before we do, make sure you sub this channel. We do daily Warframe video uploads, build videos, discussion videos, news videos, all that kind of stuff. You're the right place for Warframe content. And yeah, we did discover this on the live stream today, so make sure you step in the live stream sometime. Might have a little bit of fun checking out some of this stuff as we discover it live. Alright, so yeah, we got Invisible Khora, not to mention Invisible Dante, Invisible Garuda. A lot of frames could be permanently invisible with this companion today. So yeah, it's going to be the Huras Kubrow. And as far as frames that won't work with our permanent invis setup today, unfortunately, Mesa does not work. Okay, that's like one of the only ones that doesn't work. But a lot of other ability damage focused frames can work great to stay permanently invisible with the Huras Kubrow. So how are we going to achieve that? And also, what are some of the pitfalls of this loadout that you might want to think about a little bit? Well, the ability we're using to stay permanent invisible is called the Stalk ability from the Huras Kubrow. Another great thing about the Huras Kubrow is that it can, once it goes invisible, it will actually attack enemies while it's invisible and keep attacking while invisible. So it can stay permanent invis, basically, and still damage enemies. And you can also do the same thing as long as you have a frame that does ability damage. Whenever you fire a gun while you're invisible with this ability active, you will lose the invisibility, or even if you melee with a normal melee as well, you will lose the invisibility. So showing you how that works in the sim real quick. We're going to go ahead and summon in some heavy gunners, but look at this. So once the dog detects the enemies, I am invisible, but if I whip claw with Khora, I don't lose my invisibility. I can also cast my other abilities whenever I feel like it. So I can cast my Strangle Dove, I can cast my my Ensnare, whatever I have equipped, I can do that stuff, and I can keep doing it until there's no enemies nearby. They like to keep the invisibility active in the sim, but yeah, it's supposed to turn off the invisibility once the enemies are dead nearby, and that's how it's going to work in mission 2. If there's no enemies nearby, you will briefly lose your invisibility, but besides that, fair game. Now, as far as, what you don't want to do, and why weapons on this build are a little bit questionable at best, is if I fire any kind of gun or melee or anything like that, I instantly lose the invisibility. So that's why I said Garuda's really good. This could work on Sevagoth as well. Sevagoth nuking everything. He'll stay invis the whole time. But yeah, it's going to be the Huras Kubrow is going to be your homie here. So yeah, he's on must-have status after this. So as far as the build on the Huras Kubrow, this one is going to be a little bit more melee-focused. But keep in mind that we're on Khora, so Venari is also our second companion. So yeah, the big thing you might want to throw on here that I don't have on here after some personal preference is Tandem Bond. Companion melee hits increase your combo by 6, and heavy attacks will give it increased melee damage. So after my gameplay, I decided I didn't really need that in the Kubrow. I was at 11x, 12x with Venari, because Venari can use this mod too to give us a ton of extra combo easily, and Venari has pretty respectable damage on the current patch. So yeah. Now as far as what we have on this build, the mods are pretty specific in what you've chosen, but again, another thing that might be up to personal playstyle is Duplex Bond. Illusions of the Duplex Bond, this way, illusions of our dog that hits really hard already, but those illusions don't actually get the power of the Contagious Bond mod, which makes our Kubrow have AoE fire procs on kill. Additionally, Mecha Recharge can also do that too, but yeah, Contagious Bond and Mecha Recharge, both AoE fire procs, which we're using pretty well here. If the dog ever does go down, which it shouldn't, we've got Momentous Bond, but keep in mind, since Khora's Whip Claw does count as a melee in some cases, you can put on Prime Pack Leader. This will give your dog 2200 overguard as long as you're hitting enemies with the Whip Claw. And yeah, that's what we got in Venari. So you can put this on the dog too if you wanted to. So it's really up to you. Like, let's just put it on there. Why not? So that's what we got on there. And yeah, these are some of the best mods you could put on this build, in my opinion. Moving on to the Huras Claws, these have some really high stats because we got a Paris Prime stat stick equipped. If you don't have a Paris Prime stat stick, You can just get the Paris Prime Incarnon without a Riven, and it'll be very good still. Whoa, a 19x multiplier? That's crazy. Okay, so as far as the mods we have on the dog here, we got Bite and Hunter Synergy for a bunch of crit chance, and we've also got Mecha Overdrive for a bunch of status chance. So it's taken all the stats from our primary, the Paris Prime Incarnon, and it's applying them to our claws for our dog. So it's really good. And also immunity resistance, since it's all fire and slash. It's all DOT. This will increase our status damage. You don't really need Call of the Week, technically. You could take off Call of the Week for Bell Ringer if you wanted to. But in the footage, I was using Call of the Week, so I'd say you could probably just keep Call of the Week on there. It didn't seem like it was too big of a problem. But yeah, these mods are really good. Precision and conditioning, making the claws purely slash for the impact, puncture, and slash. And burning claws, making it all fire. I got some comments on my previous video about Nourish. Yeah, guys, Nourish can make this still viral and heat. I don't know why it does that, but it does. So keep in mind that that is a thing you could do. If you have Nourish, this will still have viral and heat for whatever reason. It's pretty nice. But yeah, beyond that, we've got Khora herself, and Venari Prime, and the Magistar. I think I'm just going to show you guys that stuff in the Paris, because the Grimoire was not very important. I didn't even use the Grimoire, to be honest. So, for Khora, it's, as I said, we cannot fire any guns. We cannot melee at all. We can only use Whip Claw and jump around and have fun. So, you must not be using a Helminth like Lycast Hunt, because you're not going to be getting all the orbs. You'll only be getting all the orbs from Dispensary. Plop it onto Dispensary. We got Equilibrium on our build. We're having a ton of energy and a ton of health dropping from these Dispensary orbs. That's from Proteus Helminth. As far as the Archon Shards, you know how it is. All those purple Tau Shards give us a ton of critical damage. We will one-shot the Acolyte for sure. As far as the build for Khora, this is literally my exact Khora camping build from a while ago. But the only change is I took off Umbral Intensify, because it's technically not the smartest mod choice, and I put out Equilibrium instead. Since we got this equipped, we'll be getting orbs, turn the health orbs into energy orbs and vice versa. I had Umbral Intensify in there because I liked Umbral Intensify, to be honest. It was just fun. But you don't need it at all. You don't need any power from the Khora. So I just want to be goofing around. So we got Corrosive Projection on here. This is going to make the enemies have less armor, and that means the dog can kill them easier. And since we don't really care that much, enemies are not going to be getting armor stripped fully. They're going to be getting armor stripped by this percentage, and that'll make our Whip Claw hit harder too. In the footage, I was using Brief Respite, but yeah, you're permanent invisible, so you don't even need Brief Respite, to be honest. So keep that in mind. Better shield gate with Brief Respite, but you don't even need that better shield gate, because we got Augur Reach. That's good enough. For the rest of the build, Pilfering Stregodum for extra loot. For enemies that are killed in the Stregodum, keep in mind, Contagious Bond does not transfer the heat procs enemies in the Stregodum, okay? So that's a little bit anti-synergy, but that's probably not even intended, but that's just how it is. Accumulating Whip Claw. Once you hit a bunch of enemies, you'll get more and more damage from your Whip Claw. If you're ever wondering why is my damage low on the Whip Claw, it's because you probably don't have this stacked up. Overextended and Augur Reach are our range mods. The range of Whip Claw caps it at 200%, but the other abilities don't. So going over 200% range is totally fine to get more area of your Stregodum and your Ensnare. Dispensary does not care about range, so who cares about that? And yeah, just getting a good amount of range on Stregodum and Ensnare is great for survival missions, which this build is meant for camping and survival missions. Arcane Fury gives you more damage on your Whip Claw, because it's on your melee. It's an effector melee, that's very, very good for this. And Arcane Energize. This build is so good that you don't even need to have Energize. I just decided it was good for convenience sake, but anything would pretty much work in that slot because we have Dispensary and Equilibrium already. Moving on to the Paris Prime stat stick. If you watched my previous videos, you've probably seen this already, but yeah. Guardian's Might, Ardent Trigger, and Elemental Balance. And the build should be everything status chance, everything crit chance that you possibly could get. Bonus points for primary dexterity, because, that gives you more combo duration for your Magistar. But don't worry, your dog and your cat will be building up combo for you. The biggest thing, and the reason the Paris Prime is so good for the stat stick, is Bizage Ball. Only works for the Paris Prime, and it gives increased status chance in the Exilis slot. If you don't have a Riven, just put, Hunter Munitions there or something for increased damage on enemies procced by Slash for your companions. If you don't have Hammer Shot, put another Hunter mod there too. Alright, Grimoire was not really used, but if you do want to use the Grimoire, I got an increased duration mod because it makes Khora's abilities last longer. And Kroth Canticle, which you don't even need. This was literally not even used at all, but this is what I have equipped, so there you go. Now for the Magistar, this is probably the best stat. Not even probably. Look at that. Look at that crit multiply. Oh my gosh, 23.3. This is the best stat set for Khora because it has the best crits, and Khora mainly cares about crits. Now as far as our Incarnon perks, Edge of Justice, Seismic Slam, very good perk. And then Critical Parallel. The reason we're using the Magistar Normal, because there is no Magistar Prime, congrats, you watched the entire video, is because the Magistar Normal has better Incarnon perks, percentage-wise, than the Sancti Magistar. There is no Magistar Prime, so the Sancti Magistar is the higher stats version, technically. That's why the Magistar Normal gets higher Incarnon perks. Think of like Riven Disposition, but for Incarnon perks. So, yeah, the Magistar Normal, and as far as our build, we're maxing out our Corrosive. If you don't have a really good Riven, you should get one, but you should just put on Spoiler Strike if you don't have that Riven. So, wouldn't recommend it without a Riven, because the Rivens just make it even more OP. Like, look at that multiplier difference right there. But yeah, as far as Riven stats go for melee damage, crit chance, crit damage, my slide crit, that's going to be optimal for you. But as far as the build, we're just jamming Corrosive. Acolytes are weak to Corrosive, Kuva Cordier weak to Corrosive. A lot of things in this game are weak to Corrosive, so we're jamming a ton of Corrosive. We got Electric and Toxin to make Corrosive, and then Melee Exposure for more Corrosive. On ability cast, increase Corrosive damage on melee strikes, stacks at 240%. You don't need a maxed out melee exposure. You can still get the 240 with like an unranked one. But yeah, the more you have, the quicker you'll get to that bonus. But yeah, you technically don't need a maxed out melee exposure. This is basically just made for Khora. On ability cast, increase corrosive damage. It's so perfect. So, rest of this stuff, pretty standard. We don't care about status chance, we just care about crit. Now, as far as the galvanized mods on Khora, I would not recommend these. Now, you can still benefit from them technically, but you cannot get the stacks from her Whip Claw. You have to actually you'd have to use the Magistar to get kills to get the stacks, and then you could get the crit damage on Whip Claw. I would not recommend it. Just use Sacrificial Steel. These mods are not worth it on Khora's Whip Claw, in my opinion. But yeah, another option is technically the Ceramic Dagger, but I don't really use that anymore because it's just not as strong. So, Naramon Focus Tree for good combo duration. This is basically just so we can be even more lazy in the invisibility, because we can actually use Opening Slam too, technically. Double combo gain, that's pretty decent. But yeah, Affinity Spike, not Void Affinity Spike, where's the one that makes it not go away instantly? Here we go. Power Spike, melee combo decays at 5 every couple of seconds instead of instantly being lost. So yeah, that's great to keep your 12x pretty easily. But yeah, with Venari, we have a mod called Tandem Bond that can actually build up our combo from those melee hits. And that actually works pretty well with Venari. Speaking of Venari, there's a little bit of a weird modding situation with Venari because you have to do it this way. Now, Venari does not normally have shields. If we take off Link Redirection, look, they're all gone. And also, if we were to use the mod Calculated Redirection, look, you still don't have shields of Venari. You have to use Link Redirection on Venari to get shields of Venari, and shields are very good on Venari. Keep in mind, too, Venari can get Overguard with Prime Pack Leader. So whenever I Whip Claw, Venari gets shields. Whenever I just put that mod on the dog, too, so the dog's getting Overguard, too. So that's great. But yeah, Tech Assault, if the Venari was going to die, it probably wouldn't happen. 60% of the time works every time. Tenacious Bond. Now, Tenacious Bond does double stack between the dog and the cat. On Khora specifically. And to me, it makes sense lore-wise. But yeah, keep in mind that might not stick around, because that has not always worked like that. Although it is kind of nice right now. And yes, it does mathematically work too. So, ideally you have Tenacious Bond on your dog and on your cat with Khora on this build. But keep that in mind, it might not be fully intended. I hope it is, because it makes sense to me. To me, it makes sense. Like, she's the only character that has 2 companions like this, so she should have double bond mods. Because also, some bond mods don't work on Venari. You can't equip Duplex Bond, for example. No Venari illusions. But yeah, here we got, so this Link Vitality gives you more HP than Enhanced Vitality gives you more HP than Link Vitality on this build by a lot. And the rest of the stuff is just pretty much just good mods, pretty much. We've got Hunter Recovery. Now, I would like to have this maxed out, but I also don't really care that much. This could be pretty much anything you want. It's a V polarity. Contagious Bond could work. It's not getting as many kills as the actual dog is, but it could still work too. But yeah, you need to get another form on there to fit that on the build. But yeah, either way, guys, this is a great build for Venari Prime. And for Venari Prime's Claws, it's going to be very similar to the build for Buck. It's a fire proc focused build. I've got Bellringer on here. Since this is not a Kubrow, you can't run the Mecha Overdrive mod, which gives you a ton of status chance. So Bellringer is like the next best mod. Also, you could also take off Call of the Week. Like I said, Call of the Week's not necessary. Go Magnetic Strike Bellringer if you want to for knockdown to magnetic procs. But for me, Call of the Week is usually just what I keep on here for a bunch of extra, well, not a bunch, maybe like 100% extra damage at sometimes. So yeah, really, really good stuff. And as I stated before, this does work on Dante as well. It works really well on Dante, actually. So yeah, Perma Invisible Khora, as long as you don't fire your guns. We can quickly show it on Dante real quick. But yeah, guys, this can work on tons of characters. And I would say that the dog is definitely in must-have territory now. because it can now double loot, it's a lot more of a viable option, and that's the main reason I didn't use it before. It's got the mecha mods now, it's got all this stuff, it's also got doubling of loot, so there's not too many downsides now. But the main downside would be you can't fire guns, but if you get used to that playstyle, it can be really, really strong. So let's go ahead and show the same build with Dante here from the video from last week. So if you watched the video from last week, it's a Mecha Dante build. Look, we got the Mecha mod sets here to make the dog mark things more often. And the Page Flight ability from Dante makes enemies take more status damage and status procs. So it's amazing with these new dog mods that make the dog really, really strong. So we're on the same kind of idea. It's the exact same build from the Predicite video, but now it's more focused on damage here. On the dog doing damage. This, again, like I said, this is such a strong build. It makes it kind of boring to me. It's just so strong. But yeah, we can just kill them ourselves if we feel like it too. So you stay invisible while doing that. And yeah, we can actually have the dog do damage too if we feel like it. But we've had the dog doing a lot of damage recently, so maybe give the dog a little bit of a break. So once the dog kills his enemies, it will spread the fire procs and they're all going to explode. So take your pick. You got Dante's DOT abilities, or you can have the dog's DOT abilities. They're all going to treat you very well with this kind of build. And yeah, Khora as well, guys. So hopefully you found this video fun and helpful. Yeah, it's good. It's definitely good. So yeah, that's it. See ya.